Folks, while we're waiting, I think another minute or so, Peter, I just put together a few photos that I took this year. The community center, upper left, Nolan Craig barbecuing burgers for the burger booth, our Santa Claus parade invitation, some folks working to put bacon on a bun during our winter carnival at the top right, our awesome metal and e-waste recycling there on the lower left, the mess hall, Peter's Rink of Dreams, and a whole pile of leaf bags that we'll be talking to you about in a few minutes. I think we should probably start, Peter. What do you think?
Sure thing, Judy.
Okay, so I'll just get us rolling with a very quick welcome and hello, and thank you all for attending. It's a wonderful evening out there, so thank you for taking time out from enjoying the weather. We welcome your interest. We're thankful that you're interested in finding out what your community association has been up to this year. And just a quick note, the meeting is being recorded for those of you who didn't see that note on your screen earlier. So Steve Fahey has a couple of bookkeeping notes to give us about our Zoom protocol for tonight. So over to you, Steve.
Okay, thank you everyone for joining in for our annual general meeting. My name is Steve Fay. I'm the Zoom host controlling the technical aspects of the meeting. Because of the virtual format of this meeting, there are a few things to announce before we start. First, please be aware that this meeting is being recorded and is available for viewing on YouTube Live and will be made available for viewing subsequent to the meeting. Please make sure that you are logged in using your actual name so we'll know who is attending and perhaps speaking during the meeting. If your login name is incorrect, you can correct it by using a rename function whenever you see your own name. For instance, click on Participants at the bottom of your Zoom screen to open the list of people currently logged into the meeting. Hover your mouse pointer over your own name and select More, then click on Rename, enter your correct name, and you're done. Most of the time during this meeting, there will be a PowerPoint presentation dominating most of your Zoom screen. You will not have a view of all attendees that is shown during many Zoom meetings. However, you may want to experiment with your view selection available in the top right corner of your Zoom screen. I find that side-by-side speaker or side-by-side gallery selections are both pretty good selections. During the meeting, you may be able to unmute your microphone to ask a question. However, we ask you to respect the speaker and not interrupt comments during a presentation. If you wish to comment or ask a question, please follow this procedure. At the bottom of your Zoom screen, click on the Reactions button. Click on Raise Hand. When a presentation is complete, I'll look for raised hands and ask you to unmute yourself so you can speak to the meeting. When complete, please mute yourself again. If your Zoom session is not muted, it may be muted automatically. Voting on motions will be approved by all attendees using Zoom poll questions that will appear on your screen. Your vote may appear on your screen when poll voting results are presented. However, overall voting results are presented in totals only. We'll now have a sample voting poll so you can respond appropriately to the question that will appear on your screen in a moment. Okay, you should see a question on your screen, so you can go ahead and answer appropriately.
Okay, Steve, do you think everybody's got?
Okay, yeah, it's been there for about over 30 seconds, so I'll now end the poll. And I will share the results. So you can see that at this point, 24 people voted and 100% answered yes, they understand how to answer a question. So that's how poll questions will work. And that will be for votes during the meeting. So that's it. And back to you, Peter or Judy, who's ever speaking next.
Okay, Nicolette, can we have the next slide, please? So this is a visual of our agenda tonight. Judy already gave us the welcome. Thank you very much, Judy. We're going to approve the 2021 minutes. We're going to have a word from Eli, our counselor. Cindy Gray is going to give us our financial highlights. Judy's going to go through HCA events and activities in the year of 2021. And then there's going to be a series of directors' reports. We'll have an election of the new board and a question and answer period following that. And Judy will give us closing remarks and next steps. So with no further ado, next slide, please.
Okay,
So,
thanks, Peter. Yeah, you can see we've got a packed agenda, and our goal is to cover that in about an hour. So we do, however, want to hear from you, and that will happen towards the end of the meeting. We do have a question and answer period, as Peter's just said. You will be hearing from about 8 of us tonight, so there will be some backing and forthing. We ask for your patience. You're going to be hearing from several directors giving reports of their particular areas, including Peter and myself. You've already heard from Steve. You're going to hear from Cindy Gray, Pam Monnier, Dan Wallace, and Jeff Latham. I want to just take a minute to introduce the rest of the directors who you won't be hearing from directly. So, Nicolette, could you turn over to the next slide, please? Oh, the slide with the board on it. I think it's the one before that.
Judy, we see the board slide now.
Okay, so do I. Thank you. Okay, so I'll just mention the other names. So Nicolette in the back, working hard in the background, is our secretary. She does all our agendas and minutes for our monthly meetings, and she's done the PowerPoint slide presentation for tonight. Elizabeth O'Brien is a brand new director who's recently volunteered, and she's agreed to take on the treasurer role. So we're having a gradual transition from Cindy to Elizabeth. The officer roles will all be confirmed at our next regular board meeting, as Peter's going to describe to you later. Brian and Karen Nemish share the bar manager role. Al Joyner is our community liaison. Amy Baldry does such a fantastic job managing all our communications. She looks after our Facebook page. She sends out the newsletter and deals with the media. Dan Wallace, also fairly new to the board, has stepped up to be our sports director. Brian Armstrong is our liaison with the Ag Society, and I have to say we all learned that Brian has had hidden skills. He showed us that he's got a special talent in organizing a spaghetti dinner at our just past winter carnival. Doug Rothwell, he oversaw the outdoor maintenance contracting work, including grass cutting, snow removal, and the ice at the rink.
Forget
He
Pam.
also sat on the Riverwalk.
Don't forget Pam.
Pam's coming up, yeah. Doug Rothwell, yeah, sat on the Riverwalk committee, but we've got a special guest tonight, Jose LeBlanc, with the Friends of the Cart River, will be giving that report. Nolan Craig uses his professional carpentry skills to help us out with various jobs. Wanda Clark, unfortunately, she's our events coordinator, so due to COVID restrictions in 2021, oh no, we couldn't have much in the way of indoor events, but she did introduce our High Harp heart buttons, and that was a big hit, and she's keen to organize events going forward. Sarah Johnston also helps with events, and I have to mention Jim Collins. Jim's one of those very special people who quietly and competently assumes full responsibility to get a job done, and I personally don't know what I would have got done this year without him. The other people will be introducing themselves as they give their reports. Just a final note, we did say goodbye to Dan Kovacs and Jody Bell in 2021. But Dan continues to work with us as an active volunteer. He served as the convener for both outdoor hockey and kids softball, Freudian slip. Okay, so back to you, Peter, to do the minutes.
Okay, next slide. Thank you. The meeting minutes were made available as part of the original invitation that everyone received. And because there are presently no outstanding items from the previous minutes of the previous AGM, I am going to make a motion that they are accepted as printed as part of the invitation.
Nicolette will second that.
So now we're going to have our first opportunity to vote.
Okay, we'll leave this question up for about 30 seconds. We're up. Okay, that's about 30 seconds. So I've ended the poll and we have 23 votes, all in favor. Thank you.
Nicolette, next slide, please. I haven't noticed, is Eli actually managed to log in? I haven't noticed his name as part of the guests.
No, I just asked Aaron. Aaron, I don't know what's happening. Apparently he's having technical issues and he's trying to join.
He's trying to join by phone right now, but is not having any luck with that either. So he was all prepared. So apparently the technology is not working on his end. So I'm not sure what the issue is. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Shall we let him keep trying and move ahead with the agenda? And if he manages to be successful, we'll just fit him in. How about that?
For sure.
Excellent. Okay. Next slide, please, Nicolette. So I'd like to introduce Cindy Gray, who is going to present our financials. Cindy, over to you.
All right, now I'm unmuted. Okay, welcome everyone. Just want to briefly go over, I have 2 slides to present and talk to. This first slide, the top portion is the income statement, which shows you what happened in 2020, and also at the end of December 2021, and then we have a forecast for 2022. So you can see that our funding gradually increases from the city over time. We've had some program specific grants. Our program income, which was down quite low in 2020 due to COVID, is creeping back up again, and we are forecasting more for this year because of course more events and programs are happening. So for this year, our forecast total income is 140,000 and change. Total expenditures 150,000. So at the moment, or when we prepared this forecast, we were looking at a loss of $10,000 over city funding and program revenues. That is probably going to change a bit, but I haven't produced a revised budget yet. I still don't have enough information to do that. Any questions? Maybe just hold them until I'm finished going through the 2 slides. The next section is the statement of equity. Thanks, Nicolette. Again, just showing our equity in 2020, 2021, and our year to date as of about April 22nd is our net equity of $90,000. And we can move to the next slide. Okay, so this is just 2021 for the entire year. So it's just a bit more detail about where the money came from, where we were spending it, and where we ended up in terms of a profit or loss. We did have a profit last year of $9,139. There's a number of events and programs that are on there. We did not, I just want to talk to the fact that we did not have a winter carnival last year because, again, of COVID. We did have one this year, and probably everybody's been there and heard about it. And it went very well. Very popular, successful. We didn't have a city grant like we did in 2020, but we still did very well. Our revenues were about $3,800. Our expenses were about $3,000, so we're a little close to $800 in profit. We made money off of selling the I Love Carp buttons, the bacon on a bun breakfast, and the spaghetti dinner, as well as a fair number of canteen sales. So I think that was a really, really successful event. And we'll have a more thorough report, obviously, for next year's AGM. But it's so current, I just wanted to make sure that I addressed it at this meeting for you. So that's about all I have to say. If there's any questions, please jump in.
Again, questions could be requested using the reactions and raise hand function, but
Okay.
at this moment I don't see any raised hands.
Okay.
So
I will ask for a motion so I'll ask for the financial report to be adopted as presented and make a motion to accept the financial report as presented.
I'll second that, Cindy.
Okay, thank you, Jeff.
Welcome.
we now have the acceptance of Treasury's report, so you can go ahead and vote. We're at about 20 seconds. Okay, we had 24 votes, 100% in favor. Thank you very much.
Okay, next slide, please, Nicolette. So I'm going to pass the baton over to Judy, who's going to go through HCA events and activities in 2021. Judy?
Okay, great. It's my pleasure. Despite all the COVID restrictions and rules that seem to change every 2 weeks, well, first of all, sadly, we couldn't have any fun indoor events, but we were able to work very hard all year long. It was surprising how much we did and what we accomplished. We focused on outdoor events, outdoor sports, and we focused on investing and improving our facilities. So on your screen, I just put together a very short list of a few examples of the kind of things we were working on last year. Some of the things we do are partnerships with other organizations. And the first one on the list, that tree giveaway, was one example. We partnered with Ecology Ottawa to give away trees. That was on June 20th, same weekend as our metal recycling. And we held this outside the community center. People were lined up all the way from the center right out and down Juanita ready. And we gave over 100 trees within a very short period of time. So that was really a popular event. Another partnership was the last one on the list there, the Santa Claus drive past parade, although it was rained out due to weather. Nevertheless, this was a partnership that we established with the Clark Agricultural Society, and we contributed funds, and we also contributed a number of volunteer labor hours to set up the displays. Some of our activities are the result of someone pitching a really good idea for board approval, and then we all work together to make it happen. One example of that is our metal recycling. Another example is pickleball. The metal recycling was expanded to be waste recycling as well. So we had 2 events in 2021. One was in June, one was in November. We used a local metal recycling company. They provided the bins, including delivery and pickup free of charge. 2 drop-off bins, they were filled to overflowing. If any of you saw them on Sunday night, it was just amazing. Full of old appliances, technology devices, every imaginable kind of metal. One of our directors even volunteered to drive around the village with his pickup truck to pick up larger items that couldn't be delivered by residents. As a result, thousands of kilograms of metal and e-waste were diverted from the landfill and sent to be recycled. And we resulted in a net income to the HCA of more than $1,800 with very little cost on our part. Pickleball, I just want to mention another really good idea that is completely taken off. Thank you to Ken Perkins and his wife Sue for their vision and their hard work to get pickleball established on our outdoor rink, and their generosity giving lessons to new players. Over the last 4 years, pickleball has grown really quickly in interest and participation. Some of our activities are the result of one of us realizing that there's an issue with one of our facilities that needs correcting. And then we work with the rest of the board to convince them to get behind a new initiative. This was the case for our storage issue, and all the renovations that we did at the HCC was another example. So for storage, we felt when we looked at our financial reports, we felt our storage costs were far too high. So Jim Collins took on the responsibility of researching our options. And in the end, we decided to purchase an Amish shed. This was installed behind the community center. You've probably all seen it there, that wooden shed. Thank you, Nicolette. So the storage shed. We canceled the rental contract on the storage locker, and we emptied it, and we gathered up a whole bunch of other items from the community center with Jim's oversight, and we also constructed some shelves. Amazingly, it now holds all of our sports equipment and a bunch of other supplies, and it's just amazing that it's really helped us to rationalize our storage problem. And this one-time expense for the shed will pay for itself in less than 4 years. The Huntley Community Center renovations are something that I started just in a small way last winter. It was my COVID project to walk over to the building and see what was there and start tidying up. The more time I spent there, the more I realized the building had been overlooked and under use for many years. So we sent out a questionnaire this past January asking for your input, the community. What do you think regarding the building and its potential uses? I'm still working through all those responses, but there was resounding support to proceed with renovations there. And our goal is to make this a multi-purpose facility where local residents and community groups can pursue a wide range of activities and interests all year round. So we've worked on plans for renovation. We've consulted the city staff. Eli's been very supportive. The city was convinced of the flooring in the canteen and the office in December. City staff also did a whole number of other renovations and repair work on the building and the rink. We were successful getting a minor capital grant that was approved last fall to cover the costs of new interior LED lighting. That's gone in already in the canteen and the office. and the washrooms. And we're going to be building a new patio that should all be finished by July. We purchased a new fridge and a freezer for the canteen. Interior painting was started last December, and it's just about finished now, I believe. And it's looking wonderful. Those of you who had the chance to come inside during the winter carnival to buy your bacon on a bun or your spaghetti dinner, or to go to the canteen, you would have seen the drastic improvements that have been made. And I just want you to know, those of you who volunteered to help out with this project on our questionnaire, I'm still following up, and I will contact each of you personally, those of you who volunteered. So another way things get done is sometimes just good things happen at our facilities, and it didn't require any extra work on my part. An example of that is the leaf raking that happened there last fall. I had the idea to contact the local guides and the beavers and ask them if they'd be willing to rake up the leaves as an act of community service. Many of you may know this, but we do give the beavers and guides use of our mess hall free of charge. So yes, both groups were more than willing to come out and help, and they showed up, boys and girls, and they collected dozens of bags. You saw a picture earlier of those huge bags of leaves. And I want to thank their parents and their leaders for this well appreciated effort. So those are some examples of the kinds of things we can do. And I think, Nicolette, if you move to the next slide, we just have some photos. That's the metal recycling there, the Amos shed in the middle. There's the long lineup waiting for the tree giveaway. And I must say at this point, thank you to all our volunteers. That tree giveaway wouldn't have happened without the help of a volunteer in the community, Barb McDougall. Thank you very much, Barb. There's some beavers in front of our community center all ready to rake leaves. In the center are some board members. Steve was giving us a lesson on how to use our new Square technology for card reading for sales. And some of our board members hard at work preparing spaghetti dinners in the lower right. So thank you to all of the volunteers. We couldn't do it without you. And the next slide, Nicolette. There we go. Yeah, I couldn't resist. I know we're only supposed to be talking about 2021, but I felt that by next May of 2023, our wonderful winter carnival of February 22 would be old news. But I just wanted to mention that the carnival was awesome. As Cindy has told you, despite all the COVID rules, it was financially successful. And it was just wonderful to see all of you outdoors, having fun on the sleigh ride, wearing your buttons, warming up around the bonfire, skating on Peter's Rink of Dreams, building the snow worm, and eating bacon on a bun. It was just wonderful. Okay, so that's all I wanted to say, Peter. Back to you.
Oops. Sorry, had to let the dog in. Okay, excellent. Can I have the next slide, please, Nicolette? The next slide starts our director's reports, and our first director's report is from Pam Mounier, who does an outstanding job with our mess hall. Pam, over to you.
No. Good evening, everyone. As you see in the slide, there are a few points made, but I will speak to them. The total revenue for this year was 6,000, or last year, 2021, 6,306.25. And that is very small compared to other years. We had hopeful bookings going into the year. However, they were canceled due to COVID. We only reopened in mid-July. The 20 bookings that we had after that comprised of 13 weekends, 2-day bookings, 1 bar event, 2 regular events, and a 4-day election event, along with 4 meetings. Our regular groups, the guides, beavers, etc., did not meet inside the mess hall. However, They were allowed access to their storage chest and washroom, which was their request, by their request. And that worked out good for us too. I was delighted that the board approved the purchase of secondhand chairs from Cohen and Cohen. There's a photo of a small event showing how nice they look in a recent event. They even look nice against a pink and blue color of decor for a twin baby shower. The old chairs were inspected, divided, and dispersed over, say, a 6-month period, some slated for garbage and the majority for giveaway. A few community centers got to get some, and some personal community members. To summarize the year, I would be remiss without thanking the HCA board for staying healthy and sane, not only staying healthy and sane, but continuing the hard work behind the scenes. And I'd like to personally thank a few people, Brian Nemish and Karen, for their support in all matters covering bar events. Even though we didn't have many, I still had lots of questions for them, and they kept me on the straight and narrow. And Angela Skinner, who is our cleaning staff, she's not on the board, but she has the pride in the hall as if she was. And she consistently maintains the cleanliness of the hall to higher standards than an employee usually does. Doug Rothwell, who volunteered to not only supervise that outdoor services coincided with scheduled events and jumped in where others couldn't or wouldn't. Nolan stepped in too for handyman assistance. And Steve Fahey, I can't say enough about Steve, his knowledge, patience, willingness to assist or lead or research or shop. It just keeps the mess hall and HCC going. Myself and other members of the board and myself and other members of the board up to task. Last but not least, I'd like to thank our president. She was my trainer, but I went offline here. My trainer, oh geez, Pam, I better go back. Last but not least, Judy Macon, our president, my trainer. Thank you. As much as I am proud of all the board members, more than any board I've ever been on, I truly believe we not only survived, but we thrived and even prospered with you at the helm. Sorry about the mishap. Are there any questions?
You're here on that for Judy.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Pam. Pam,
Okay,
if there's questions for the mess hall, I think maybe we could take them at the end of the presentation. What do you think?
Well, I might have to leave. I was going to add that I have some last minute booking stuff to do for our trip tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Well, sure. If you want.
We're still getting emails and I have to, print them and put an electronic copy and so on.
Okay.
So I'm
So
gonna.
if anybody has questions for Pam in the mess hall, then you'd be welcome to hold your hand up using the reactions at the bottom and ask her now.
Peter, I don't see any hands up. I assume everyone can see that. Is that correct? If you've got the participants list up. Anyway, I don't see any hands up at the moment. Oh, wait. Brian has a hand up.
I see Brian's hand up. Okay, Brian, you can you have to unmute yourself, Brian.
I am now unmuted.
There we go.
Pam, I want to thank you. You've done a great job over this past year. And more importantly, although somebody would disagree, you listened to me tell you about all kinds of things related to alcohol sales at the HCA. You've done good, dear. Keep it up. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Brian. So I'll ask to have a motion to have the mess hall report accepted as presented. Is that the right way to say that?
No, we don't need to do that for.
Okay, good.
You're good. All right. Thanks very much, Pam.
All right, thank you.
The next director's report is for sports activities, and Dan Wallace, I'm going to pass it over to you.
Hey, thanks, Peter. For those of you who don't know me, Dan Wallace, grew up in the village. Delighted to be engaged as a sports director because growing up in Carp, sports is a big part of my upbringing, and like to continue the tradition for the next generation. So want to give a shout out to our outgoing sports director, Dan Kovacs. He's kind of helping to show me the ropes, so I'm learning as I go. Do appreciate your support there, Dan. And Dan is still very much involved in softball and outdoor hockey, so he's still a volunteer and still an important part of the happenings around sports in the village. I'll keep my remarks kind of brief in a few areas, just because I know that Jeff Latham will have more to add when it comes to the baseball diamonds, and Peter will probably have a couple notes to add when it comes to the outdoor rink. But to summarize, outdoor rink, very successful year at the outdoor rink. We have one of the best outdoor rinks anywhere in the valley for sure. Legendary outdoor rink, and kudos to Peter and the entire ice team for making it the gem that it is for everyone to use in the community. And it definitely got great use this winter, especially when people were needing things to do outside. It was fantastic. Outdoor hockey happened as well, and actually player registration was up. I think there was something like 60 players, which was up from less than 50 before. So, you know, there was teams for 5 to 7, 8 and 9 year olds, 10 to 12, and 13 to 15. So great activity with the outdoor hockey league. Rentals were up. All of the January, February slots were full. Some additional slots created for special events. And the season ran, I think, probably as good as we could hope to expect, all the way from January to March. The weather was very cooperative this year. I know we had invested in a new snowblower the previous year, and I'm sure that helped pay off for the ice team. And Peter could probably confirm it. There were a couple times we had, I think, the snowplow on there to clear some of the bigger snowfalls as well. And then there was also some time slots added for adult skates and ringette as well. And there you see the photo. I think that's actually from the Winter Carnival, which was a kind of nice component of the Winter Carnival this year, is having some outdoor hockey activity happening at the same time. It really brought the community together. So big positive momentum for the outdoor rink, and looking forward to more success there in the coming year. We can go to the next slide. And there's the outdoor rink without any ice. And what does that reveal? It reveals 4 prime pickleball courts. And I think I've heard that pickleball is the fastest growing sport in North America, and I believe it, because it's certainly growing quickly in our community. I think last year we had 130 members, and from what I'm hearing this year, we're well over 160 members. So it's just gaining in popularity every year. We've got great support from the community. Judy already mentioned Ken and Sue Perkins, but also give a shout out to Jane Cody, who's doing a lot of the organizing there and sort of a liaison for me. We've got some items to improve the amenities around pickleball. So a few things I'll be bringing to the board in the coming weeks. There is you can register for pickleball, but there is drop-in available as well. So if you want to get any information about pickleball, Jane Cody's a good contact there, and I'm also available to field any questions that may come in. We'll give a little bit of an update around the soccer fields on Langstaff. Looking forward to extremely well used last year. West Carleton Soccer Club is the primary user, and our contact there is Karen Matt. Looking forward to another great summer of soccer on those fields. It brings a lot of people into the village, and using some of the businesses, you'll never see a small lineup at the at ice cream during those soccer nights. So Monday to Friday, the fields will be booked again this year. Important responsibility of the community association is making sure that the field condition is good and the grass is cut. So we'll be doing that again. My understanding is that heading into this year, the registration numbers are up, but we're still not at the same level they were pre-COVID. And I think that's kind of a running theme, is like getting people back into the sports. Is we're hoping to make some progress this year, but it's not going to happen all right away, because people find other activities and we got to bring them back to sports. So we're looking forward to seeing all the soccer players out there 6 p.m. onwards, Monday to Friday this year. We can go to the next slide as well. I'll keep my remarks here brief, because I know Jeff will have more to add, but a little bit of an update around the fields. Well, we've got probably the nicest the ball diamonds have ever looked, my opinion, and a lot of credit to that is thanks to all the work that Jeff and his team have invested in the ball diamonds over the last couple of years. So we're looking forward to seeing them get really great use this year as well. Softball registration, I think, was down last year, and part of that is just due to COVID. So expecting it to be up a little bit this year, but still not where it was. I think we had, pre-COVID about over 100 registered players for softball, but we're still down around 80 right now. Carp's going to have 5 softball teams this year. The diamonds will be in use by softball Mondays to Thursdays. And very excited that we also have Learn to Play, or as many people know it, T-ball, kicking off again this year. Very excited about that. And it means it gives us an opportunity to use the absolutely beautiful field at Craig Side Road by the mess hall. So that'll be starting on Monday. And I think we have 23 kids registered for that. So that's a good way to get them into the sports programs to get them started while they're young. We've got lots of volunteers. So I know there's great enthusiasm from the parents who have some of the younger kids in the community to start off in Learn to Play. So looking forward to getting that going. And I think I'll just leave it at that. I know there will be some more details about the outdoor rink facility and the ball diamonds from Jeff and Peter respectively. So if anyone has any questions or comments, please speak up or raise your hand.
Well said, Jeff, and well said, Dan.
All right. I guess I'll leave it at that for now, but yeah, if anyone needs to reach out to me, I'm always available to talk about the sports in the community. And again, thanks for all the support of getting me kind of up to speed. And I'm still learning the ropes a bit, so I may not know all the details, but I've got a lot of support, whether it's being able to reach out to Kovacs to see how things were done before, or whether it's Peter or Jeff or whoever else. So thank you.
All right, thanks very much, Nicolette. Here we go. The next director's report is the Carp River Walk, which will be presented by Jose LeBlanc tonight. Jose is a member of the community, but somebody who's worked very hard on the river walk. So Jose, over to you.
Hi, everyone. So I'm not part of HCA. I just want to make that clear. I'm part of Friends of the Carp River, but I think Doug was traveling, so that's why I've been asked to step in to report on this. So the work that was completed in 2021, the team, which is comprised of HCA, Friends of the Carp River, and with the city, we developed a stewardship agreement. And in there, it states that HCA is to maintain and operate the Carp River Walk Trail and to support conservation activities. The role of Friends of the Carp River is mostly to lead the environmental stewardship activities, but we do all work as a team, and obviously what I'm doing tonight, stepping in as needed. There is no additional funds from the city provided to support this agreement, but we can apply for grants for any kind of improvements that we want to make. Part of that agreement is we have to produce a stewardship plan annually, and it's just describing the work that we intend to do during that year, and it has to be approved by the city. The trail was mowed continuously in the summer, and there's a picture there that shows it was very well maintained. Some signs were installed in the winter to protect the ski trail. It's more enjoyable to cross-country ski when the trail is pristine. However, 4 of the 6 signs, I must say, have disappeared. So just saying if anybody took him by mistake, they can bring him back to the trail and I'll go and pick him up. So since January of this year, the stewardship agreement was actually signed by the city on the 5th of January, 2022. We've installed signs for species at risk birds. These are ground nesting birds that are actually nesting in the field, in the inside field. And at one point, there was a bird that was killed and not eaten, which kind of indicates that it could be a dog, basically. So in addition to the bylaw that says that dogs have to be on leash, here's another good reason to have dogs on leash in that area so that we can protect these rare species. We also, during the carnival, you see a picture there of the world's longest snow worm. It was only 20 feet. I think we can do better next year if everybody puts their hands to it. We swept the field this spring for obstacles in order to prepare it for clearing the entire field. So we think we can probably bush hog the field, but there's a lot of obstacles and how do you say, holes and stuff. It'd be hard to actually mow without damaging equipment. So the activities plan for the rest of 2022 is to install official City of Ottawa signs, remove and control invasive species, bush hog the field. If anybody would like to volunteer to do it, volunteer their equipment to bush hog the entire field so that we prevent, to control invasive plants, let us know. And Janet Mason of Friends of the Carp River has started an environmental stewardship plan that covers a number of years, and hopefully we can complete that this year in collaboration with the city, MVCA, etc. And I guess that's a picture of everyone sweeping the whole field in a military lineup to identify all obstacles that could damage equipment. That's it.
Fantastic, Josie.
Okay, Jose, thank you very much. Really appreciate your report. Nicolette, would you mind moving on to the next report? Fantastic. This is the diamonds, which will be presented by Jeff Latham. And for those of you who don't know, Jeff Latham loves those ball diamonds like they're something special. So Jeff, over to you.
Well, thank you, Peter. Yeah, I certainly do. I grew up on those diamonds, so they're a passion of mine. Anyhow, yeah, so last year, unfortunately, with COVID, it was challenging times for our ball programs. The HCA's minor softball program didn't operate for the second consecutive year due to COVID. Once restrictions from the province and Ottawa Public Health were lifted in, I think, July, we had a number of rentals on the diamonds. A few of those were the Greater Ottawa Fastball League played double headers most Thursday evenings in July, August, and September, and continued into mid-October with their playoffs. We had a competitive ladies team from Ottawa that rented on Wednesday evenings. We had a league that plays at a Bell High School, came in August and had a weekend tournament. And the Ottawa U women's team rented the facility in October for some league games. And we also had a baseball team from Ottawa rent in most of the summer. So I was happy with that. We were happy with that. Looking ahead this year, I know we're talking about last year, but I just want to give you guys a bit of what we're going to do this year. We're going to continue doing some improvements around both diamonds. Some of the things we're going to do is we're going to install a gate on the center field fence of Diamond 2. We're going to fix up some fence on the number 1 diamond on the third baseline. Another thing we're going to do is install netting between the diamonds on the left field corner of Diamond 1 and install netting on the first baseline of Diamond 1. And that's a safety issue, we think. So we're going to look at that and get that fixed up. And we're going to fix up the announcer's booth behind home plate on Diamond 1 and touch up the warning track on Diamond 1. And all this work that I've spoken about is going to be done by volunteers. We have already had over 900 volunteer hours accounted for in the past 2 years with regards to the work done around the diamonds, plus heavy equipment and materials donated from not only companies, but also individuals. And that's greatly appreciated. And we'd also like to thank the Carp Agricultural Society for their past and continuing support. As far as the diamonds this year, rentals, minor ball is up and going again, like Dan Wallace said. So I know numbers are down a bit, but we'll get there again. It's going to take a bit of time. The Glencairn Men's League has rented the facility in June for a weekend tournament. The Greater Ottawa Fastball League will be playing weekly games again this year, typically Thursday nights. So if anybody wants to go out and watch some top-notch fastball, that's a good night to do it. It's a very good ball with teams from all over Eastern Ontario coming here to play. There's 2 competitive ladies teams that are playing here on Monday and Wednesday evenings. And once again, the Ottawa Men's Senior Softball League are renting again this year for a weekend tournament in August. And a new initiative, a co-ed fun night. There's, I think, got like over 30 people signed up and for Thursday evenings. And I think it's a fantastic idea. Just a total fun night, get to know your neighbor sort of thing. And they'll have 2 teams this year with hopes for expansion next year. So that's, I'm happy about that. And the men's rec league will be played once again this year after missing 2 years because of COVID. That's Tuesday nights. And one of the big things that'll be happening in Carp this summer is August 2nd to 7th, the men's under 23 Canadians are coming to Carp. So that's teams from all over Canada. We're expecting 12 teams. This will be top-notch fastball, and it's going to be busy. So it's great for the community, we hope, and we hope everybody gets out to have a peek. And really, that's about it. So we can, if any questions, we can talk about it at the end. But I appreciate, I do the diamond scheduling, but I have many volunteers and people that have really helped, and our board has been very supportive on what we're trying to do here. So I appreciate it. Great bunch of people to work with, and thank you, Janet, for that. Ball diamonds look great. Yeah, I appreciate that. And we're just trying to get them where people want to come here to play, and I think we're almost there. So thanks again.
Okay, Nicolette, thank you very much. The next director's report is me. I am the outdoor rink coordinator. Dan and I work hand in hand with outdoor hockey. So here's a few of the points for the outdoor rink this year. So the ice conditions this past season were excellent, and that had a lot to do with the fact that we had very cold temperatures. And of course, we have the best ice crew in all of Ottawa. In my opinion, Warren Latham, Joe Paulson, Dan Armstrong, and Terry Boyd are the 4 men who make that ice as incredible as it is. And you wouldn't believe when you see them out there that Warren is well past his early 80s now and going strong, doing fantastic work for us. I do get a lot of credit for the condition of the ice, and I take that credit whenever I get the opportunity. But it's these 4 fellas that really are responsible for the way that our ice is, and they do a fantastic job. So as Dan mentioned, this year we only had 1 serviceable blower, which at one point actually needed some repairs. So we got a loaner from the local service center. But we did need to use a contractor twice with a tractor to clear large snowfalls off. We had 62 days of skatable ice. And within those 62 days, there were 5 red flags. We didn't have a winter thaw this year. We usually get a winter thaw that spoils Winterlude in downtown Ottawa. Well, we didn't get that this year, and as a result, the ice was in really, really good shape. We didn't have any issues with water escaping off of the ice surface like we did last year, and that just proved the fact that it was a weird year the previous year where we didn't get a really good frost in the ground, so that snow actually would or water would actually disappear off of the ice surface. We do plan to purchase a second snowblower this year to speed up clearing. But we're also looking forward in the future to a couple of ideas that have been bantered around about further improving our snow clearing capability. So more to follow on that. And that's it for the director's report for the outdoor rink. Next slide, please, Nicolette. So here we come to the point where we have an opportunity to, you all get an opportunity to vote on the incoming 2022-2023 board. A couple of things that I would like to note. We did lose a couple of board members over the year. Jody was our treasurer, and she stepped down as she had a baby. And we also lost Dan Kovacs, who played a really significant role on the board, but he's stayed on helping us with some other areas. So thank you to Dan and Jody for your support. And we do have one member retiring this year. Doug Rothwell is going to step away from the board. He did an incredible job over the last couple of years working with contracts that the HCA awards. Just as an example, the grass cutting contract, which is our single largest expense, the grass cutting contract. We've been really lucky with our grass contractor. Terry Boyd does an absolutely fantastic job. Like Jeff, he grew up in the carpet.
Okay, I don't know if people can hear me. Peter's picture has frozen.
Yeah, if I can hear you.
He's
Can you-
frozen.
Can
He's
you
frozen.
still hear me though?
Okay, he's back on.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Where did that leave off? I was on a roll. I think I was
We're
talking
talking about Terry Boyd.
Terry Boyd.
Thank you. So Doug managed that contract. Anyway, I'll try to get this all wrapped up as quickly as possible. I'm having some internet issues. So with Doug stepping away from the board, we do have a list below of continuing directors. We do have an outgoing president, Judy Macon, and what we'll do when we sit for our first board meeting in May is we'll assign roles for all of the remaining board members. One thing that we do want to make sure everybody understands, there's always room for volunteers with the HCA. So please don't think that we're not a welcoming group. You're also welcome to come to our board meetings. If you just contact the president and say you'd like to attend, we do welcome people around the table. So the continuing directors you can see listed there below. And I would like to make a motion now for everybody in attendance to elect this slate of directors as listed without Doug Rothwell, who's retiring. Doug, thank you again. So my motion is to accept the new slate of board of directors as printed as continuing directors.
And Judy here, I would like to second that motion. So there are 18 directors that are standing as a slate to be re-elected.
There is our vote, and Steve, I'll allow you to go further with that after 30 seconds.
Okay, we're up to about 20 seconds now. Please vote for accepting the motion to approve the returning members of the HCA board as presented.
Just while Steve's doing that, just remember we do have a couple of vacant positions, so we would be happy to accept potentially a couple more people onto the board, and you'd be more than welcome to reach out to the new president when we assign the new president, and talk about the positions that are available. So
Okay, we had 24 votes, 100% replied yes to that vote.
excellent. Okay, Nicolette, we can move on to the next slide. Okay, maybe, sorry, just before Q&As, we've been getting emails from Aaron from the counselor's office. Unfortunately, we've had a really hard time making a connection. So Eli, I guess, will not be able to, to talk to us tonight.
He's coming, actually.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, I'm expecting him in like 5 to 10 minutes. So if you can stall until then, I would be very
Okay.
grateful.
Well, I know a great way to stall. A great way for me to stall is to tell everybody how much the board appreciates the outgoing president, Judy Macon. Judy has been outstanding. She came into the board just as a member. She then became the vice president when we had no president, and has spent 3 years at least as the president. She's gotten a lot of stuff done, and she's done it very gracefully. She's managed to not tread on toes. She's done a fantastic job. So I would just like to take this moment to tell everybody here at the meeting that Judy has been an outstanding president of the HCA, and somebody who's managed to get a lot of stuff done and managed to support an awful lot of initiatives. And I personally want to say thank you. We'll say thank you to her as a board at the next meeting when the new president is selected. But from this point, I just wanted to say, Judy, well done, fantastic work, and you were worth every cent that we paid you.
Could not agree more, Peter.
I'm blushing. Do you see me blushing?
Yeah, I agree. Well said, Pete. And yeah, kudos, Judy.
Thank you guys. But you know what? It was a team, and it was an awesome team, and really fun to work with.
Me too.
I have to say that for those of you in the community who don't know all of us, most of the board, 3/4 of the board, work full-time during the day. Several board members have young children, like babies. And the fact that you spend your time in the evenings and weekends working on HCA projects is just commendable. And it's just so much, it's so satisfying to be a leader with a group like that, who is right behind you and helping and volunteering. Awesome. And I just want to underscore what Peter said. We always have room for people who want to volunteer, and there's, as you can see, of all the things we're doing, there's lots of opportunities. If you just want to come out and help Jeff at the Ball Diamonds, or Judy with some admin work, or Peter at the burger booth, or whatever, one of us. If you just want to do a specific task, that's just fine. If you feel you've got specific skills that you could share, we're more than happy to hear about you. You don't necessarily have to sit on a board. Maybe you're not interested in sitting in board meetings or whatever, but we are more than open to having more people join in all the fun. So while we're waiting for Eli, maybe we can entertain a few questions. And I must say, if we don't know the answer.
Yeah? I'm finally in. Sorry.
Oh, there's Eli.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, I was in Fitzroy AGM. I was trying to log on from my vehicle, but I couldn't somehow. So I'm in my office now. So take your time. I just want you to know I'm available whenever my turn. I'll be happy to step in.
That's great. Thank you, Eli. Eli, can we get that really great picture of you up, Nicolette? It's way up at the front. Eli, maybe you'd like to say a few words once we get this great picture of you. You're a very handsome man, so we want to make sure your best picture is up here while you're speaking.
There he is.
Look at that. And your hair is a lot darker.
It's 20 years ago.
I don't know about 20 years ago. That actually 3 years ago, and I just want you to know, Peter, since February 16, I've been sleeping in the basement since I choose to go back on the police service board. So I'm sure if you talk to Maha, she'll tell you he's in the basement 24/7. So
Yeah.
but,
Okay. So we'll give you the floor, Eli. You can have a few minutes to say some words.
well, I'm sorry I came in late, but did you guys have a election? Should we say thank you to the old board and welcome to the new board? Is there some info I need to know? But I just want to say on behalf of the resident of West Carlton, Marsh, I want to say thank you to every one of you, whether you're on the board or a volunteer. I know I heard Judy talk a little bit about the commitment, some of the board members who have family commitment and yet they still help with the community. And I guess that's how our community is built. It's built on a land donated to us by the grandfathers of this community and it's still running on a volunteer. It just came from Fitzroy. Also, they just have their AGM and it's running on a volunteer. And I have to tell you, to see the people playing softball, we have 16 playing tonight. It was great to see people coming out after the pandemic and to be able to see each other. The only thing, people look at me and say, oh my God, you have more gray hair or you lost weight or you gained weight. And I think that's commonly because we haven't seen each other for over 2 years now or almost 2 years. But I'm glad we're back in person and we got to see some people. And I was eager to hear from Jeff and Judy about what's happening this summer with the baseball. I hope we're on track. We tried to help Jeff and his team as much as we can, but I'm not sure where we are at. I apologize, we haven't got an update in the last week or so because my schedule is a little bit, as you can see. But I'll take any question if you have some question for me. If it's not, I can stop right now. And
well, thank you, Eli. We weren't going to put you on the hot seat for this AGM, but just appreciate your words and the fact that you made the effort to get in here to see us. Thank you very much for that. So I'm now prepared to pass things over to Judy. And Judy, maybe you could open the floor to questions and answers.
Yes, by all means. Feel free. Ask a question, a comment, a suggestion, whatever you like. This is where we get to hear from you. And we'll ask for Steve if you see any hands up or whatever, if we don't see them or hear from someone. I think probably if you can unmute yourself.
I don't see any hands. Wanda just unmuted herself. So Wanda, would you like to say something?
Judy, thank you so much for all your time, efforts. It has been great. But my question is, what kind of role, if any, do you plan on taking on with the HCA moving forward?
That's a really good question, Wanda. And I think what I'm going to say is, well, we'll have to sort, the actual specific roles. We'll vote as a board on who's going to be doing what in terms of officers. But Peter and I have already started the conversation about transition. And we'll all need to support Peter if indeed he becomes president, and I don't see why he wouldn't. But I'm going to stay on the board, and one project I'd like to see through is the community center renovation, for sure. That's one thing that I really want to do. We've got a brand new treasurer, so I want to make sure she's well established and happy and fully functional. And then that'll probably take us through the summer. I'm really open to doing whatever needs doing. And I think Peter will have to figure out what it is he can manage to do in the evenings after working all day. And he's going to need to farm out some of those tasks probably to all of us. So I'm really open to do whatever the board feels needs doing.
Thank you,
Does that
Judy.
answer your question?
It does. Thank you.
Okay. Janet Mason has her hand up.
Yes, I know you guys did a strategic plan. I think it was last year or the year before, and I'm wondering how it is how it's going. Are you executing to your plan? Is it working out? If you could let us know. Thank you.
Thanks, Janet. Yeah, we've really ticked off most of our goals. One big goal we did this year was the questionnaire. We sought community input, so that was huge. Something I'm still working on is our corporate registration. We now have our official corporate status all ironed out, but we're going to need to look at our bylaws and bring them in line with the new provincial ONCA, Ontario Not-for-Profits Corporations Act. And one other outstanding issue is to figure out how we're going to maintain a membership list. So maybe next year at this time, we'll have something to tell you in that regard, but that's really open. We don't really know how we're going to do that yet.
Thank you, Judy. Jim Collings, you've unmuted yourself. Did you want to add something in?
Yes, I have a question here. I think the last general question to the public of CARP was, what do you think about the proposed development at the east end of CARP off Donald B. Munro, where they're putting in mega houses in the next 2 or 3 years? And that questionnaire went out got to be 6 or 8 weeks ago, and I've really not heard anything since. So what do we know about this?
Thanks for the question, Jim. Yeah, it wasn't really a questionnaire. I think it was a development proposal that was announced, and we shared that on Facebook. And that's something we're happy to do, is to share that communication with the community. So Eli can correct me if I'm wrong, but there was an opportunity for input, and that's really open-ended. You can still submit information. And the last I heard was that there would be a public consultation meeting, but a date hasn't yet been determined. Is there anything else you can add, Eli?
No, not more than what you just said, but Jim is right. There was a proposal, but the proposal on hold because we have to. They have to prepare a service capacity, as some of you know, not the new resident, but the one been for a while. They know CARP has a limited sewer capacity, waste capacity, and so we need to have a full report on there's got to be some capacity increase to be able to accommodate the new development, the one you mentioned east of Donald B. Munro. So right now it's on hold. And that's why we didn't call for a public meeting, because we want to make sure if there's no capacity for service, well, obviously there will be no development. So we're waiting for engineering report and who's going to pay for that increased capacity. I hope that answered your question. But right now you can submit your comment, whatever. But I mean, there will be no public meeting until we find out about the capacity of the
Eli, can I then ask you, Eli, if the Langstaff development fits in with the capacity limits?
I believe well, it does. Langstaff, yes, it does. This is part of the capacity. Jim, I know you've been living in CARP for a long time. So since '94, when they brought the sewers to CARP, there were allocation for the existing. So the allocation is between 800 to 900 homes. We're already at 726 dwelling. And so there's capacity for Langstaff, but I don't believe there's enough capacity for the other one at this point. So we just said, let's hold till we have the full engineering. And if they're going to increase capacity, maybe both development would contribute to that increase of capacity. But the report is not even ready yet, Jim. And as you know, Langstaff, they have, and now obviously it's out in the public, they have purchased the extra property from the Huntley Colonel Club. Yeah. So they want to add it, and they want to have another entrance to the property from that. It's not going to add many units, I think 2 or 3 units, but it's going to add another road in, and that's what the extra land is. So now we're back to the drawing board, basically waiting for the land. And as you know, you can't just purchase one piece of land. You have to still go to committee adjustment, do a line adjustment, and has to be approved by the committee adjustment. And that's going to take some time. As you know, committee adjustment is behind since the pandemic. So I don't see, any shovel in the ground before next year or maybe the year after. So at this point.
Thanks, Eli.
Thank you, Jim. And please, folks, on my website, Eli's website, there is, there's some of that information you can visit, or you can visit the city of Ottawa. And please, any comment you have, whether traffic count, whether sewer capacity, whatever you have, it should be asked, to the planner, or to, if you want to send it to our office, we'll follow up with the planner and get you the answer. And I'm not sure, Judy, if you talk about the water, we did in CARP and the investment. So now the work on the water plan in CARP is complete. We spent over $3.8 million making sure we have quality and quantity of water in the village of CARP. So that's the work has been complete. And I think in the spring, it was the final touch with all the filtration.
That's great. And Eli, hopefully you've heard about this. I know Aaron has, and Brian Boyd, our maintenance supervisor, has. We're asking for a water fountain to be installed in the community center that allows people to fill water bottles rather than selling bottled water there at our canteen. So hopefully that can be done at some point this year as well.
Well, we do have one in the arena, right, Peter, inside the Erskine Johnson. And I know Peter's going to say, Eli, how do you remember that? Yeah, we do have a water fountain inside. The unfortunate part, they will be greatly used if they are accessible at all time. But we live in a climate where you can have them outdoor. They freeze in the winter time. So that's why they are located inside. And if the community center or the arena is not open, they're not going to be in good use. And that is unfortunate, because the one in beside the canteen in Erskine Johnson, it was used very well, because there's a number you can always check. But in the last couple of years, with the building being closed most of the time, we didn't see a lot of take on it. But I mean, it's a good question. We can take it, talk to city and see how doable that is, because you have one in the arena across the road from what you're asking for.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're expecting, according to Jeff, we're expecting 5,000 or 10,000 people at our ball tournament this summer. So that would be
you can have temporarily one. We can bring temporarily one. It's no problem. We have temporarily water bottle fill. We had them in other occasion, whether what do you call that, volleyball tournament, Moons Bay, or other location, or some festivals. So there's a truck comes in with water in it, and people can fill up their bottle of water out of it. So for a special occasion like this, is different than having a fill-in water fountain. And if it's going to be indoor and your building is locked, most of the time, I can't see it's going to be used more than the one at the arena next door.
Oh, wait till you see how often that canteen's going to be used, Eli. You're going to be amazed. And the new patio, it's going to be awesome. I just wanted to, okay, so I guess we'll ask one more time if there's any more questions. Do you see any there, Steve?
I don't see any questions. There is one oddity of Zoom. There's been a check mark beside Jim Collins' name for most of the meeting. It says he said yes to something. So thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Jim. Just by the way of closing remarks, I want to thank the board members for working so hard all year as volunteers. And to the community, what we do for you and we do with you. So many of you help us out with our projects such as Burger Booth and Winter Carnival, etc. It is a lot of work. There's no doubt about it. So I will ask for your patience as we transition to a new leadership team as I step down from being president. I'm going to remain on the board, but I have to be honest, I'm looking forward to doing some different things. I have an interest in quilting that I would really like to pursue, and dancing, and a number of other things. So I'm looking forward to my new role, whatever that turns out to be. So failing to see any other questions, and I believe, Peter, we're finished our business. So Nicolette, if you want to put up the last slide, this is how you can contact us. You can send an email to president@hca-carp.ca. You can ask to be receiving our monthly newsletters, which are wonderful, by the way, thanks to Amy. And you can follow us on our Facebook page, really active Facebook page, website, and Twitter, of course. So given that I hear no other business, I'm going to declare the meeting adjourned, and thank you again, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Judy, for your service.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.
Night.